welcome to the DIY Photo Organizing Podcast, focusing on topics to help you with your photo management. I'm Chantal from Photos in Order.
And I'm Fiona from Photo Helper. Hi, Chantal. How are you?
Hi there. I'm really good. How are you?
Good. Just to let our listeners know today, we're actually recording a video. So on the podcast, if you'd also like to hop over to our Facebook page, you're most welcome to see us. And if you're listening to the podcast, you can just listen to us as usual. So hi and welcome. So today we are going to be talking about something which is an interesting topic for many people, and this is Google Photos. So you may have photos in Google Photos or you may not, but we thought we'd just explore this because there's some changes coming up. So we thought today is a good time to talk about it, and it's definitely something that we do not recommend in our professional opinion for any sort of a photo management type tool. We don't even recommend it as something for a backup, but we do think it's a great tool for viewing photos only. It has some brilliant features and we'll talk about some of that, but really we just today want to talk about some of the big changes that are going to be happening with Google Photos, and I think it's really important to let people know. So we're going to explore that a little bit today, and we won't go into too much of the techie detail, but we will speak a little bit techie because I think it's really important just to let you guys be aware of what's going on, what currently is happening, what we're moving into with Google Photos, and then what to maybe look for in the future. So you can be aware and make some good decisions. So that is what we're talking about today. So Chantal, do you want to start us off and just explain a little bit about maybe what's currently options in Google Photos?
Yeah, sure.
And then you can share. So we're going to do this like a little bit more of an interview. So Chantal's done quite a bit of research in this recently too. So take it away.
Okay. So as you said, let's start with, what's currently the rules and how does Google Photos work currently.
Yeah.
So the important thing, and this is something you've mentioned before, that's one of the reasons why we don't recommend it as a backup, let alone as storage. Google Photos does compress the photos very slightly, but it still does compress them in the free plan. So currently you have three options. If you go with Google Photos, you can have your free plan and upload a so-called high quality of your photos and videos, which means it's free, but it does compress them a little bit. And this is one option that probably most people would use. That's just a pure assumption. I have no idea. I didn't look into any numbers.
Yeah.
And there is also an option called Express quality storage, but this seems to be an option that's not available to everybody. So I've never seen it, so I'm not sure whether it's not available for Australians, but that might be an option wherever you are. So Express, and that's also free. And then there is the paid plan. So if you want to upload your photos to Google Photos in full original quality and size, you have to pay. So what you get at the moment is you get 15 gigabyte of free storage space. And these 15 gigabytes are actually not only for photos, but it's like a shared thing. So the 15 gigabytes count for Google Photos, Gmail, and Google Drive. So that means if you use 10 gigabytes for stuff that you keep in your Google Drive, you only have 5 more to use in that free plan. And then once you hit the 15 gigabyte and you upload original sized photos, that's when you start to pay.
So that includes your Gmail and stuff like that too, then you say?
Yes. Right. So just the three things: Gmail, Google Drive, and Google Photos.
Right. And this is currently,
That's currently. And once if you want to upload originals, or for whatever reason you run out of free space and need more than the 15 gigs, and that's when you start paying. It's not very expensive, but you pay and you become then a so-called Google One member. So that's how it currently works. And in terms of photos, as I mentioned before, most probably use the free plan with the high quality. And so also, just out of interest, I came across something, and I need to read that off the slide there, that Google says that they have more than 4 trillion files stored in Google Photos. 4
Wow.
trillion. And that
Photos stored.
Photos stored, and another 20 billion, not million, 20, sorry, not 20, 28 billion photos and videos are uploaded to Google Photos every week.
Wow. I mean, really, that
28 billion. We can't even start to imagine.
And you know what's interesting, Chantel? I wonder if those 28 billion photos being uploaded each week, I wonder if people are actually aware that they've even got that turned on and that they're going there.
Possibly, yeah, it could be.
Sometimes you wonder, there's settings that are sort of either by default turned on, or or it's a conscious decision that those 4 trillion photos are all up there already. Amazing.
It is just a crazy amount. And also that is, I think that's what it explains why Google Photos is actually so powerful, and that we do like it as a viewing platform, and it offers features that are real good fun, and cool to do. And one of them is other things like facial recognition, but also it recognizes locations. And that number that I just mentioned, that explains why it is so powerful, because it's one huge database where it learns, from others. Yes, your photos are private. Nobody else can see your photos when you store them in Google Photos, but in the background, it is all in one huge database, and it learns and that's what makes it so powerful.
Yeah,
you can't compete with that. It's just
it's phenomenal. It really is. It's quite remarkable what you can search up and just grass.
Yeah.
And anywhere where you've taken a photo and there's some grass in the background, or anywhere, dogs, and it really has some really robust search features that don't have to be keyworded in. So we've talked about, in previous episodes, we've talked about metadata and things like this. So this is using then the technology of outside of keywords to be able to search for things. And so for that purpose, it's got some really great features. Which other programs also have, but Google are really leaps and bounds ahead as far as the technology that it's using for that.
And the size of the database, that is one of the, if not the explanation for that powerful feature, because the database is so much bigger than any other. So let's say you're using Apple Photos on your Mac. It has that too, but on a much smaller scale, and it does learn as well. But all it has to go, is your own photos. It can't, in the background, sort of look at millions and billions and trillions of photos to compare with those and learn from it. So it's much smaller. So
and I mean,
we're actually huge fans, which we're not.
I know. I was just about to say. So actually, let's maybe just clarify this point, because while we do think it's got some great features, and those searching features are brilliant, it's only when you're in that program and it's a proprietary program owned by Google, and we're unable to retain that information onto and embed that into our photos to look at outside of Google.
Mm-hmm.
So any work that we do in Google stays within that program, and we're not able to then put that on a hard drive, plug that hard drive into another computer and look at it.
Yeah.
It's only within that Google. So it just doesn't give us the ability to own that. And rightfully so. I mean, it's powerful, and that's why Google are Google. They do that, right? So we're not able to take advantage of that outside of the Google Photos,
Yeah.
which is why we want to, whatever work we're doing on our photos, we really want to be able to retain that information ourselves. Should anything happen anywhere down the line, we want to be able to, we've got a photo album, it's in our cupboard, that's ours. We've put the pages in, but in our Google Photos account and things like this is why we're really recommending that you would use that as a viewing option and keep your photo hub separate and outside of that, and back that up as usual and things like that. So when we're going through, and Chantel's going to go through and say, what some of those options are, just really bear in mind that this is definitely something we're suggesting and looking at moving forward as a viewing platform. Okay, that being said, we'll get off our little soapbox here.
Yeah, and look, before we talk about what's actually about to change and what does that mean for you, we just want to very briefly touch on pricing. So as far as we know, we don't think I think the pricing is going to stay the same. And it's not very expensive, it's quite affordable. It does compare okay to other cloud services. And look, if you've listened to us for a while, you know by now that we also are of the opinion that these days paying for cloud storage is the normal. If you don't pay, it's probably not a great service.
Yeah.
And so far in terms of photos, I'm not aware of another one actually that is free in the cloud, like Google Photos was until now. So if you have to pay, $20 a year for 100 gigabyte or something like that, it's affordable. It's the new normal. Whatever service you use, you can't avoid it. It's just
I mean, you'd pay for a hard drive as storage, so it makes sense.
So, shall we move to what's changing?
Yes.
Let's see what's changing. So, on those who already are with Google Photos and use the service, they would have received emails and would have seen that information popping up here and there that changes are about to happen. So, but what is that? So from the 1st of June, which is not far to go now.
And this is 2021, just in case someone's listening in the future.
That's right.
Like, which year was that? So 1st of June 2021. Yep.
On the 1st of June 2021, the free plan goes away. So you can no longer upload your photos in high quality for free, unlimited. What you still get is the 15 gigabytes for free. But after that, once you've uploaded 15 gigabytes on or after the 1st of June, you will have to start paying. That's all that changes. So when you've reached that 15 gigabyte limit, you will either have to delete stuff off. You remember not only Google Photos, but also Gmail or Google Drive, which is shared with those three. So you can either delete files, or you go into a paid plan. And again, you've got different options there. I think it starts at $100 gigs and then 200, and then it jumps to 2 terabyte, and you even get a 10 terabyte plan, which is an incredible amount of
Huge.
data. I'm pretty sure you're not going to need that
I
one.
think someone needs to listen to our deduplication if they've got 10,
Yes.
10 terabytes worth of photos.
So that's what happens on the 1st of June. And if you then have to subscribe, if you decide you stay, you become you pay and you become a Google One member. Now, being a Google One member also has, you get a few extra things that the others don't get. So, and of course, officially, I don't think there is anything out there in terms of what new features Google Photos will offer in the future, but the hope is clearly there that, okay, they're making us pay.
Yeah.
So we're
something.
hoping, that they will offer more features and change and improve things further. But who knows? We'll just have to wait and see.
So one of the questions, Chantel, would be that count of the 15 gig. Is that from the 1st of June? What about anything that's already in Google Photos? Because say you've got 30 gig in there already.
Yes.
Is that like from day one people get charged?
No. So, that whole thing, what does it actually mean for you? And do you have to do anything? So, no, it doesn't mean that you get an invoice on the 1st of June. You can actually get away with the free plan possibly for quite a long time. It depends on how many photos you've got there. So if you've already got...
Or you take, not so much what you've got currently.
Yes, so if you've already got 30 gigabyte in there currently, as in, you've uploaded them as high quality using the free storage offering, you're not going to be charged for that. And that doesn't matter whether it's 30 gigabyte or 300 gigabyte. If you have that in your Google Photos free storage cloud right now, that's going to stay for free.
Okay.
So only what you start uploading from the 1st onwards is going to count against these 15 gigabyte. Now, so there is, by the way, an exception. If you've got a Pixel phone, you can still have the free unlimited storage.
For the high quality?
Yes. Right. But only if you have a Pixel phone.
Okay.
At the moment, who knows what's in 2 years' time, but that's apparently one exception.
Okay.
So now, as I said before, anything that you upload before then, that's not going to be charged.
Right.
So
in essence, someone could decide, I'm going to load up a whole heap of photos between now and the 1st of June.
Mm-hmm.
And then that won't, as a high quality, not as a original quality.
Mm-hmm.
So we are saying that they will be compressed slightly.
Yes.
And we don't have a percentage of what that is, but we do know that there is compression in the photo. It's not the original.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And not be charged.
That's what happens. So if you are with Google Photos, you can actually go into your account in your browser. You just go to photos.google.com, you log into your account, and there you can see, you go into the storage and you can actually see what you're using now. And they also have like a button, learn more, and it will give you advice of, it will even give you an estimate how far can you get based on the usage so far with those 15 gigs for free. It then will tell you, based on what you've been using Google Photos for till now, we estimate that the 3 gigabytes will last you 2 years.
Yeah.
Before you have to start paying. So there's a bit of information that you could go and double check that estimator tool.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned before, if you do go in the paid, once you start paying, you automatically become that Google One member, and they do get a little, I'm not quite sure what they get on, as opposed to those who are still on the free 15 gig plan. But one of the things I found that they do get better or faster support. If you need support, they have quicker access to that.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, what do you need to do? Do you need to do anything? No. Not necessarily. If you use Google Photos, you've been using it so far, and there's no need to do anything really. If you feel like, oh, I really want to add more photos to my Google Photos account for whatever reason, again, we don't recommend it as a backup or as a storage tool, only as a viewing tool. But if you feel like, you know what, I want all those photos that I've still got on my USBs and whatnot, I just want to throw them in Google Photos since it's free, and, why not? So you can do that. You can upload as much as you want before the 1st of June.
Yeah, before you need to pay for it. And the other thing that you can do too is, let's assume that you do have a photo hub and it's on an external hard drive. And so it's outside of any, you're doing your backing up, and that's not in a cloud service currently. Let's say. So you could go into a Google Photos account and go in through a web browser, and then choose to upload your photo hub as a one-way upload. We don't recommend you using the download the app to sync, because there's just some risky issues with, if you delete it from Google Photos, it could delete from your synced devices, they call it. So but as far as just a manual upload into a Google Photos to view, you could do that. You could just grab your entire photo hub and load it all up there. If it might take a couple of weeks, you've only got 4 left, say, or 3 or so left by the time you're listening to this, if you listen to it when we launch it. But yeah, so we would definitely say, again, we're just using this as a viewing platform, as you would others like SmugMug or Flickr or something like that. But let's say that you do have your photos in Google Photos, and this is one of those areas where we've talked about in our gathering, for digital photos, to create your photo hub. So if you have photos in there, we've always suggested that you take them out and download a copy of those and get that photo hub done. So this could be an opportunity for you, if you're listening to the podcast or watching the video and you haven't done that yet, to do that. So there are a few ways you can go about doing that, and one of them is using Google Takeout and going through that process. So it is a bit of a tricky one. We're not going to go into the technical side of what you lose or don't have as far as file names and folder structures and all of those different options. And it can be a bit tricky, but we would definitely recommend that this is an opportunity for you to be motivated to do that and take that step if you haven't already done that.
So that would be the sort of the opposite if you want to get out of there.
Yeah, exactly. And with these changes, Chantel, what would you see as maybe some of the main key things for people to sort of think about? One of the things I'm thinking of is even just looking at what they're syncing. Do they have it on their phone, whether it's an Android phone or an iPhone? Because you can put the app on if you've got an iPhone, and just check your settings.
Correct. So that would be my first step. I would say, go in on your phone and also in your browser, go and check your settings on either side and make sure that you understand what it's doing. as we just said, if you've got backup and sync on before you move or delete or whatever you do, do a test with a couple of photos, find out how it works, because it can be a bit confusing. So do that little audit or assessment first before you start
Yeah.
uploading or downloading or whatever you want to do. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely check that. And again, on your when you log into photos.google.com and with your account, you can go into the settings and you can see what size you're uploading and what plan you're on, or whether you're on the free one. You can see all that information, and it will also give you, as I mentioned before, that customized information about how long that estimate, how long will it take to fill that 15 gigabyte free plan in the future. Yeah, and the same if you do use the backup and sync app, go there as well and check those settings. And yeah, that would be the first step. Just do a bit of an audit, because as you said before, sometimes things are turned on by default, we don't even realize.
Yeah.
Or sometimes things are turned on but they don't work the way we expect them, or the way they should, or something's not right, or whatever. So start there, I would say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Good. Well, I think that covers.
upload sorry, then as you said before, upload them manually.
Yeah.
Grab them from your PC, from an external drive, from USB, whatever, via your browser, and simply upload them.
Yeah.
And yeah, do allow time.
Yeah.
Yes, we will also, I think, link an article about how to copy photos that sit in an iCloud photo library over to Google Photos. I found a good article that describes that step by step. I've tried it myself, it works, but again, allow almost, they say about a week, 7 to 10 days, and they will send an email when it's done. And it's not a transfer, it is a copy. So it goes directly from your iCloud photo library over to Photos, and you have it there. If that's something you want to do for whatever reason, there's an automatic way for you to do that.
Yeah.
Yep. And it works.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is good. And I mean, look, there could be a range of different reasons why someone might do that.
Yeah.
If they're going from an iPhone to an Android or something like that. But again, we still strongly recommend having a photo hub outside of that Google Photos, just as a way to be able to back it up. It's because there's no other way to do that without bringing them out and getting another copy. So if something was to happen, then you're not in control of your photos.
That would be a future feature that we'd like to see. If
there we go, Google.
With Google Photos.
If they found the DFOA photo organizing podcast.
You can actually access it on your computer without having to go through the browser, synchronizing down to PC or Mac, Dropbox and whatever. Real sync. Then that might be a little game changer.
Exactly.
That would be good.
Maybe it's features that they're going to be doing now that they're going through to a paid service.
Yes. Yeah.
But with their limits.
Yeah.
So good. Wonderful. All right. I think does that cover everything?
I think so. And you mentioned how to, if you want to get them out of Google Photos, how to do that with Takeout with that app. Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah.
Good. Wonderful. Well, thanks so much for joining us on our podcast and listening in on Google Photos. And as always, if there is anything you've got, any questions that come up, or just some general questions about any of the 5 golden rules, or in your particular sort of scenario with your own photos, we'd love to hear from you. Any questions you've got, please pop them on any of our social media channels. And as always, we love having you listen in. Thank you so much. And I am Fiona from Photo Helper.
And I am Chantal from Photos in Order. Thanks again for being here and see you next time. Happy photo organizing. Bye.
Bye.